astronauts, this is Brandy and welcome back to Astro-Tarot Research. Happy to have you back, but let's jump into today's reading. No need to just talk. Today's reading is April. What is happening in April in terms of love, finances, and career? Now that is not my normal type of reading for this channel, but you gotta switch things up. Keeps things interesting, keeps the blood flowing, and it keeps those dopamine transmitters just dopamining away. I guess that's what I'll go for. Anyway, what isn't different is we have 5 pals to choose from. We have pal number 1, pal number 2, pal number 3, pal number 4, and pal number 5. Any links to social media can be found below, and no announcements from me. Let's just get right to it. Just sit back, relax, and choose. Hey pal number 1, let's get started on your reading on how April will be for you. We have the Queen of Wands representing where you are now. We have the Magician representing your finances. We have the King of Coins representing your career. We have the Knight of Cups representing love. And I have my Nakshatra cards here, which I'm going to shuffle for you astronauts. I never shuffle on camera, but I thought I'd give it a whirl. Sorry, they're so big, they're hard to shuffle. Sorry, astronauts. All right, we have a card. We have Anuradha. Ooh, the friendship star. Okay. Just to summarize everything, pull it into the frame a little bit. All right, and on top of that, we also have our Astro dice. These are not staying still. Okay, a lot of energy around. Now, let's get into these dice. Don't fall. Okay, so we have Venus in the 6th house with Scorpio. So Scorpio in the 6th house with Venus. Let me make sure that's a 6 and not a 9, actually. Actually, that's the 9th house. Okay, just to make that clear. Really want to look at that. Yep, 9th house. All right. So, very interesting spread here. So we have the Queen of Wands, which shows me you're in a pretty good place. You know, you have a lot of energy. You feel revitalized, just energetic, excited. You are responsible. You are taking care of yourself. You have a lot of goals that you are enacting and pushing towards. You are working towards achieving them and have a lot of achievements under your belt. The Queen of Wands is generally enthusiastic about life. She is open to new adventures. She is great at handling her responsibilities. She is someone who is up for a great time. She's just generally a positive card to receive. So it shows me that you are generally in a good place. Even if you yourself may feel like you are going through something, the universe feels like you've got a good handle on things. The universe feels like you are good at taking things as they come. You are someone who is feeling like confident, feeling like you can handle the social interactions, the work responsibilities, the home responsibilities, the showing up to social events, the enjoying your hobbies, learning, whatever the case may be. But it's really all about taking the time to experience your passions. And maybe that's where you are in life, just very much experiencing your passions, whether that is through, you know, work, hobbies, or both, or even just something that is romantic, or enjoying the free-spiritedness of connection. That is very Queen of Wands. So that is actually really lovely to see. And then I know at the top of the year, or at least the first part of the year, a lot of people have a lot of fitness and workout and health goals. And the Queen of Wands is very much an active card. So you might even be a little bit more active. And then sometimes I get wands to just representing having a lot of things to do or tasks to accomplish. So that is you right now. Go-getter, accomplish type energy, proactive and trying things, learning things, developing, growing, being spontaneous, opening your mind, and standing your ground, asserting yourself, being confident, and loving who you are, which I absolutely love to see with this spread. And yeah, obviously the Queen of Wands wants to push towards improvement and things along the lines of that. And the Queen of Wands doesn't live like this easy life without challenges, but she understands that she is more than capable to tackle what is in front of her or what's thrown in her direction. And she keeps an open mind and hopes for the best and plans for the worst, right? That's very much the Queen of Wands. So I love to see that for you, pile number 1. Now, what I have here with this Venus 6th house, that's a very interesting placement, because when I see that, it's like you want to bring a lot of joy and fulfillment into your everyday life, which I think that's something you're probably going to be doing more of in April. You're like, how can I make my day-to-day more exciting? How can I make my day-to-day an experience in which I feel like I am falling even more deeply in love with my life? How can I enrich myself? How can I seek out these pleasurable, luxury, exciting, unique moments? Because Venus loves things that are unique and different, artistic, maybe even just bringing in art into your daily life, or some form of creativity or expression, or even just social ability. That's very much a Venus rule thing going on here within the month of April. Now, you know, we could talk about the good, we could talk about the bad. You know, there's good and bads with each placement and things on the lines of that. But I wanted to focus on that particularly more, just because I see that your energy is so vibrant and full of life, that I know that you're trying to enact this sort of beautiful life. Like, you're trying to create a beautiful life, a balanced routine. It could be a balanced diet. Sometimes this can represent just bringing pets into the home or spending more time with pets and things along the lines of that. Venus can represent even just having some benefits, some health benefits going your way, or even just resolving conflicts, because Venus is a very diplomatic planet. So she is looking to be that problem solver and do what is fair and what is right. So yes, the month of April is definitely bringing all of those exciting, fun, and vigorous, passionate things into your day-to-day. I 100% see you trying new things, meeting new people, going different places, enjoying your life. Very much so. But I do have to say, Venus isn't the biggest fan of the 6th house, because Venus is a princess, and the 6th house, sorry, the 9th house. I don't know why I keep saying the 6th house. That might be a message for somebody, the fact that I'm saying the 6th house. So you know what? I'm going to go with that. I'm still going to do the 9th house interpretation. So Venus in the 6th house can bring a lot of struggles and strife when it comes to connections with, people say women, but generally it can represent just anybody creative or who has a creative mindset. But we'll say women for now in terms of that. It can bring a lot of conflict in those areas. And it can also bring about feeling like you have to put in that effort to find that balance, because the 6th house doesn't come without work. So it represents having to experience a lot of sudden unusual challenges or circumstances, because like I said, Venus is a planet that enjoys uniqueness. And so you're going to be dealing with some unique challenges when it comes to April. And I'm just throwing that out there for the people, since the universe wanted me to say 6th house so bad. But now let's get to the actual interpretation of Venus in the 9th house, which is all about exploration, learning, fun, higher wisdom, looking at the big picture, inspiration, like what's inspiring you to achieve your goals, because it is the 12th from the 10th house. Thus, it is the inspiration and the imagination and the subconscious of the 10th house. It's like, why am I wake up in the morning and going to work? Why am I logging in? What is my motivation? What is my thought process? What goal am I trying to achieve? And what is motivating me to achieve the goal? Not what is the goal, it's what's motivating me to achieve that goal. And so when we have Venus in the 9th house, one, the most obvious interpretation is that it is about embracing different cultures and meeting new people from different lands, experiencing some new medias to consume that really intrigue you and spark your interest, whether that is like a new movie, new show, whatever the case is. I don't know when the new season of Love is Blind comes out, but I know that a lot of people love that show. So that would be something that's like a Venus in the 9th house, especially if you are a huge fan of that type of content. It can represent your bosses too, in a way, because it is like the house of mentorship, and so you sort of like learn from people within the 9th house. And I feel like this is bringing about some sort of mentorship that deals with practical solutions. It's dealing with, how can I learn from someone who has a great handle on things that are practical and can be applied further down the line. This is less about like, what's the word? Like, you have practical advice and then you have advice that's kind of like, this just makes me feel better, or like, this is more so like, this is my mentality of how I choose to look at something. Like, think positive. That's not like practical advice. Practical advice would be like giving you the steps to think positively, right? Practice these mantras, or go to a meditation class, or every time you have a negative thought, combat it with a positive thought, right? It's giving you a system in order to enact that practical advice. So the month of April, you may be receiving some very sound practical advice that will be beneficial for you to apply towards your goals and your future. Something that feels enlightening and transformative, because we are in the sign of Scorpio here. And another thing that we have with the 9th house is going a little bit farther, whether that is mentally farther or whether that is actually physical distance. The 9th house will deal with both things. That is why it's the house of education and the higher mind. And it is also the house of travel and experiencing different cultures. So maybe you're experiencing cultures that are local towards you, but to another level can also represent experiencing a area of expertise, an area that is deep dive into some subject. It really doesn't matter the subject. The 9th house just likes deep dives. It just likes investigating. It likes learning. It likes discovery. It likes things that are a little bit scary, but at the same time fascinating and mind-opening. And especially with that Scorpio energy here, I really feel like in the month of April, you're expanding your mind, or, you know, some of you are just taking some trips. Want to throw that out there. And with the Magician card here, when it's coming up for your finances, I think that's absolutely lovely, because the Magician has a lot of control when it comes to their finances. The Magician card is all about you taking the reign, you taking the control of the direction that you want to go, in particular with your finances. So if you want to get a new job and grow your income, you can do that in the month of April. There's more than enough opportunity out there for you. You are skilled, you are qualified, you have everything you need to make it and increase your income. If you want to be an entrepreneur and venture out and do your own thing and explore that avenue, everything in the universe is supporting you right now in doing so. And even in the 9th house, that is like a house of marketing. So quite possibly some of you may be even increasing your income through marketing. I want to say that. And I only mention that because Venus in the 9th house is like, I'm making my money through making announcements, through communicating on a higher level, a global level, which right now in this day and age, that is social media. That is content creation. That is connecting through digital channels. That is where we are at this point in today. Maybe in the future we'll be, you know, telepathically linked or something. But generally it's like, how can I vocalize my strengths, my skill sets to a higher audience, whether that is you updating some sort of LinkedIn profile, whether that is you updating your resume and putting it out there and reaching out to recruiters or having recruiters reach out to you, whatever the case may be. But it is about putting yourself out there and marketing yourself in a way that is pleasurable and ingestible and idealistic for other people. Like they can look at what you are marketing and saying, I like that. That is, for me, that is enjoyable. I like what you have to say here. So I love that for your finances. It's just showing that things are within your control, that there are a lot of opportunities out there for you, and that this can be a really great time or a really bad time. It really just depends on you. You know, generally I'll say this for the Magician, I usually see it as more positive. So if I ask, you know, will I get what I want, and I get the Magician, it's like not 100% of the time I've gotten what I wanted. Okay. Because the Magician is me enacting my force, enacting my will, enacting my vision, and bringing it to life. So whatever vision that you have for your finances, and maybe you're actually still working on this because the Magician is number one, you know, the first kind of like card, or labeled number one. The Fool is like the technically first, but you know, it's labeled number one in the major arcana cards, and thus it represents sort of new beginnings and infinity and going on and having this unbelievable list of options available to you. Well, this can obviously represent something positive coming your way and opportunities coming your way, but it's all about you and making it happen. It's all about you and managing your finances. It's all about you and deciding if you want that new beginning or if you want that transformation. And then sometimes we can also get this Venus in the 9th house to represent like saving for trips, or even trying to budget for trips and things along the lines of that, and even maybe receiving a little bit of help or going using your credit card in order to finance certain things, because Scorpio is connected to the house of others. And where are you getting this money to finance things? That is the bank. That is your credit card. Okay, that is where you're getting that money to spend. You are borrowing it and spending it and then having to pay it back. So some of you may even be looking at things from that perspective in terms of financing things. It can also do with, like I said, financing education, financing any sort of pursuit of knowledge. I've gotten the 9th house to represent like taking an astrology course or things along the lines of that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a traditional route. It could be just some area of interest that you are interested in. I don't know where I was going with that sentence. But I love this because it just shows a lot of up-leveling, upskilling in finances, especially if you want to, and even just learning and growing in that area. Venus in the 9th house and having the Magician represent your finances card represents being able to experiment in that area, meaning like maybe you're trying to decide the right budget or decide what you want to spend on, what you want to invest in, or how you want to manage your company stock options, or things along the lines of that. That can be something within the realms of possibility. And for those who may have like a community, this can be investing within your community, especially with this 9th house in there. Now, when it comes to the King of Coins in your career, this is all about making that moolah, making that money, making that cheddar, and also receiving some recognition for your work, because the King of Pentacles is very accomplished. And one thing that I love about the King of Pentacles and most kings is that they have a lot of autonomy within their work. One thing that I've learned the difference between these king and queens of the decks and things along the lines of that is generally the queens will receive a lot more pushback from other people. They'll receive a lot more pressure to act or do a certain way. And maybe that's just based upon our gender roles in societies where women tend to have less power and are less respected. But when I see the king, I generally see someone who doesn't have as much resistance when it comes to doing whatever it is that they want to do. They have a little bit more freedom. And so I see within your career that you're going to have a lot more freedom, and there's not going to really be like this person sort of above you really making a lot of decisions on what you need to do and how you need to act and what your work needs to look like. The king is the only person that the king reports to. The king doesn't have anyone above them. Not saying that you won't have anyone above you, but that person may not be as forceful within April. They may not be as invested in what you're doing. They are going to have a lot more trust in you, or maybe they'll just be absent. I really don't know. Whatever the case may be, but the King of Coins is definitely someone who has a lot more freedom when it comes to what they want to do. This can also represent like negotiating like a raise or a salary bump or a different title, or like I mentioned before, having those new opportunities possibly when it comes to finances, or feeling inspired or seeing like a different avenue in which you can implant or expand your career and build upon it. I don't necessarily think it's totally new, because we wouldn't have gotten the king to represent a totally new field. That just seems a little bit out of the pocket. The king is very, very firmly established within their field. So this would probably be building upon skills, if anything, when it comes to the King of Pentacles. But generally it's like, okay, you are in your realm, you are in your kingdom, you are well paid, you are valued, you are feeling like you are of use, you are being, you're receiving positive feedback. What you are putting in is equal to what you are getting out of your career. That is generally what is happening with the King of Pentacles. It's not being undervalued. It's not being put in a toxic environment. It's not being thrown into the lion's den. It's very much, I'm in control of the circumstances. I'm doing well. I'm stable. I am someone who has a little bit more of a quiet confidence, like the less showy than like something like a King of Wands or something along the lines of that. And it's very productive. Like it feels like the month of April will just be a very productive month for you. Like you'll be able to check everything off your checklist, and you're hitting all your deadlines, and people are giving you good customer feedback, and your teammates are supporting you. It's very much a great month in terms of your career. And when we have Anurata here, which is also in Scorpio and Vedic astrology, I love how we have this theme when it comes to transformation and decision making, which makes me think that you're really reflecting on your next steps, because that's what all kings and queens do. They think about what areas that they want to push towards next. They think about their next avenue. They think about where the future is within their role, especially with this Venus in Scorpio in the 9th house and this Anurata placement. Anurata can also represent reflecting on moments that weren't so uplifting and positive within a career circumstance. I want to say that Anurata can be this placement that very much is about dealing with a lot of hurt and a lot of traumas. I want to say that and put that energy and message out there. When I've seen Anurata in action, first of all, Anurata people are very friendly, but it's like they start off like very friendly, very fun, very like, oh my gosh, this person is very an exciting person. They're a fun person. They really bring about this happiness, and they joke around, and there's a lot of humor here. And then you get to know them, and you recognize that there is a lot of deep-seated issues going on. There's a lot of masking with Anuradha, and it makes sense because it's in Scorpio. And I don't want to say masking like they're hiding something and then they reveal their true character, but it's more so like they will give this impression of being like very funsies, but then you get to know them and it's they have a very like a lot of darkness, not in terms of like their character, but just a lot of things that they may have possibly gone through within their life. So I want to make that known. Okay. I want to let you know that that is some things to do with Anuradha. And so how this relates to you is you may be looking back in areas that felt uncomfortable in terms of your career moments, and we're focusing a lot on the career because we have this 9th house energy, which is about like the inspiration towards the 10th house. You could be looking at it like, why have I chosen this field? Like, what has been my overall goal, and am I aligning with that goal? So it may not necessarily be all this like trauma, but it may be looking at things on a deeper level to see where things can improve and what can change and what could truly make you happy at your job and in your career. And some really amazing things about Anuradha is I generally get this placement to represent people who can be just quite happy-go-lucky too. They can genuinely be very happy-go-lucky. Not all of them are hiding some deep-rooted trauma. Sometimes they are just like this positive spirit that wants to enact positivity within the world. Okay, I want to say that. And they can attract a lot of darker forces. Now, I think because for you, we have some pretty smart cards here with the Magician, the Queen of Wands, the King of Coins. You can recognize when there is people in your environment that aren't there to benefit you. And I think it will be even revealed a little bit more through conversations or deeper conversations, exactly the frame of mind of the people that you're interacting with within the month of April. Because when we talk about the 9th house, we're talking about the 3rd house from the 7th house, which is the mind of other people. And so it's almost like you have your intuitive thumb on the minds of others for the month of April. You're able to see what they're truly thinking and to suss out their intentions, which will ultimately benefit you and go in your favor for the month of April. And I really feel like the thing I love about Anuradha is that they take their darkest moments and they take the moments that they are uncomfortable or that feel like losses, and they turn it into something that is transformative and beneficial for them. So they're the type that's like, you know, somebody who's like an underdog who has these big dreams and they manage to transform their life in a way that is incredible or should be studied or something along the lines of that. You know, it's like small town, big dreams type of energy going on here. And there could even be some reflecting on like, how can you get to that next level of those big dreams when it comes to your career. But I really do feel like you're really stable for the month of April. Finances are good. You're good. Life is actually providing you a lot of happy moments. You're able to think deeper about your next steps. And not only that, but you may be, like I said, reflecting on those moments that didn't go so well and thinking, okay, well, how can I improve it? How can I change? How can I go to the next level? How can I make sure that I overcome any sort of obstacles and things along the lines of that? But I really do feel like it's really like pushing yourself to succeed and grow and go to that next level. That is one of the main themes that I see for Anuradha and a lot of Saturnian ruled nakshatras is resilience and transformation. formation, especially through the powers of connecting with other people. So you may even be connecting with some different or new people this month. You have these sayings here with love and devotion and intuition. And I really do see a lot of, what's the word? A lot of mental and emotional strength for the month of April. Like, you're really in a good place. This is a really good month for you. This is a really, really great month. At least I think, for you. And in some way, it's almost like, because the magician is like a trickster, it's like you think of these easier ways to get ahead, to get a little bit further. Now, for the Knight of Cups, this card can be interesting when it comes to love. So if you're already in a relationship, it can feel a little bit like some of your needs may not be getting met. It could be feel a little hot and cold. Don't get me wrong. The Knight of Cups can provide beautiful experiences, romance, thrill, fantasy, some sort of like, what do they call it? To some degree, future faking with the Knight of Cups. Like, they mean what they say at the time. But the Knight of Cups is very much an experience when it comes to knowing themselves, and thus they don't truly know what they want. And maybe that's a little bit of you for the month of April. It could be you trying to decide and explore a little bit more about what you want. When we have Venus in the 9th house, right? We're talking about our beliefs on love. We're talking about our perspectives on love, and thinking a little bit deeper about what it is that you want in a relationship, what you want in a partnership. Whether you're in a relationship or not, these are always things that we should all be thinking about. And you might be trying to decide what it is that you truly desire, or even if you even really desire a relationship, because a lot of people with Venus in the 9th house, they love that independence. They love being able to get up and go whenever they want to. They don't want to have to check in with anyone. They love that sense of freedom and adventure that the 9th house provides. And so it can be a little bit non-committal energy, or feel like a little bit struggle to find balance. And so it may feel like for the month of April that you're like, I want a little bit more freedom. Or maybe even you're with a partner who you feel like is focusing more so on their needs, and maybe they're not meeting yours. But in a positive thing, the Knight of Cups, like I said, can bring about more romance. It can bring about more fun and excitement. It can bring about dating experiences or new crushes and things along the lines of that. You know, it can represent sending like millions of messages and flirtations, and that sort of like young puppy love. And, oh, I've got to text them back. I can't wait an hour. I have to see them. I have to speak to them. I have to talk to them. And it can represent meeting someone like charming and who's flirtatious, who compliments you, who tells you you're the most beautiful, handsome person that they ever have met in their entire life. And they just come with so much romance and things along the lines of that. It's very much like that, that type of energy. But the thing with the Knight of Cups is, it's like I always say, the Knight of Cups is always growing and learning. And so for the month of April, you may come to some realizations, and you may have some growth within the department of love. You may have some growth in those areas, whether it's what I was talking about, where you're deciding a little bit more about what you want, or you're even just dating different people, or even just like looking at your partner or relationship from a different perspective. That can be very much in line with the Knight of Cups. It has this very knight in shining armor. Someone's here to save me, but then you realize, this person doesn't seem to have a real plan, or things along the lines of that. I hope that doesn't sound negative, but because I just want to focus on the fact that the Knight of Cups is very much like, there's a lot of room to grow. There's a lot of room to grow and to develop. And so on the most positive way that I can say this, for people who are single, then this can represent meeting someone who you find fascinating, thrilling, who brings about just this fuzzy, warm feeling inside, and you want to see where it goes. You want to see where it can blossom. You want to see where it can grow. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that this person is flaky or anything like that. It could just mean that this person is new to you and you want to get them know them a little bit deeper, especially with this Venus in the 9th house in Scorpio. And Anurata here, who needs a little bit time to uncover their true desires and what they want and understand themselves on that level. The thing I noticed about Anurata is that seems to be like a very much like, it's not an instant love connection all the time. I'm not going to say for every relationship, but I've noticed a lot of Anurata people that I have seen and experienced is they sort of like grow into love. They have to take their time to get to know someone, and then they form that more intimate bond and intimate connection. But it generally doesn't happen speedily and off the bat, though it may feel fast for some. It may feel like, oh wow, we're spending a lot of time together, but I wish we could slow things down, or even vice versa, where you're like, oh, I would like to spend a little bit more time together because I want to get to know you. But either way, the Knight of Cups isn't the most balanced energy, so I'm going to be honest and say that it's not the most balanced energy, but it is looking to find that balance. It's looking to grow, it's looking to learn, it's looking to develop, it's looking to change, it's looking to transform, and to gain more insight into the area of love. So though it may not be the most perfect, amazing relationship, it's still a very positive card. It's still a very flirtatious card. It's still a very fun card, especially if you're looking for something that is explorative and new and exciting, you know, and things along the lines of that. Anurata can also bring about people who Anurata sometimes, they get a lot of people who can be intense. All right, I'll say that. So they can attract a lot of people who may not be the smoothest of operators. And they just seem to be drawn towards Anurata people. And so maybe you have a few sort of circumstances that might come up where somebody is a little bit overly flirtatious, or they're not picking up on signals that you're not interested, because sometimes I can get that with Anurata and the Knight of Cups combination here, where it's like, hey, I'm not interested in you and I don't know how to say this, and you're kind of like coming on a little too strong for me. Maybe like pull away some so I can breathe a little bit, and so I can find my place and things along the lines of that. But it's very much a sort of like grow in love type of situation. I just want to be clear with that. So that is what I have for you, pal number one. Hopefully this resonates. Please let me know how the month of April will be for you. Please let me know about all the different areas of your life, how things turn out. I'm very much interested in this reading, especially since it's so new and different for me. If you want to ask me a question, all you have to do is come to the live sessions. You can ask me any question. I post that time on the community tab by Tuesday at night. So check out that community tab, because I go live Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and the time will be posted. Look out for that. And that is what I want to leave you with. And I'll see you next time. Au revoir. Hey pal, number three, let's get started on how April will be. So we have the moon to represent you. We have the 8 of Pentacles to represent finance. We have the 4 of Wands to represent career. This is actually lovely. And we have Judgment when it comes to love. And I have another pile of cards for you. My Nakshatra cards, which I haven't used in a while. And let's shuffle them, even though I normally don't shuffle on camera because it takes too much time. So let's see if I can get this down. Sorry if you can't see it. They're quite big and so hard to get a little handle on. But we are shuffling away. And we are shuffling. Okay. We have Rohini. Just to summarize everything. We also have our little Astro dice to bring in more information. And so let's see what we have for you, pal. Number three. We have the 5th house the moon. How fitting, since Rohini is ruled by the moon. And Aquarius. So the moon in Aquarius in the 5th house. So the month of April actually is going to be pretty entertaining for you when we have this 5th house here. It looks like you're going to have a lot of moments in which you can fully relax and enjoy yourself, which is what the 5th house is all about. And I love that we got Judgment for your love life, because to me that feels like you're taking a more introspective approach when it comes to your love life. Like, I don't know if you're single, I don't know if you're in a relationship, but either way, you're examining the people that you allow within your life, or taking a deeper look at your relationships that you're in, or even the type of relationship you may want. And then sometimes Judgment is just releasing the past, allowing yourself to have that moment of saying, hey, even if I don't want this person anymore, I don't want that relationship, you're acknowledging that that relationship did have moments that were happy and that were fulfilling. And you say, yeah, it was a beautiful time, but I'm laying that to rest. Judgment is all about allowing yourself to grieve a past relationship, past crushes, past disappointments, past dating experiences, and opening yourself up to something new. It's like you're finally laying things to rest and having a brighter start. Maybe even some of you start dating again in the month of April, because we do have that 5th house energy here. And Judgment, like I said, represents wiping out something and allowing for something new to come in. All right. It is saying no more of this, no more of this issue, no more of this problem, no more of this experience. It's something new that I'm allowing for myself to come in, and I'm leaving the past behind. I've cleansed myself of all of that disappointment or challenges or patterns that you may have, because sometimes Judgment can represent, you know, falling into certain patterns, right? Because it's connected to Pluto, and Pluto is those sort of like generational issues that may even come up when we have Pluto, things that may even connect to a past life. And you're acknowledging those experiences, and you're allowing yourself to be free again, allowing yourself to be open again. And if you're already in a relationship, then sometimes this is letting go of that relationship. But for some of you, this can also represent a brand new, fresh start with the relationship, where you open up and you say how you feel, because we have that moon card here. And you let the person in a different way. You connect to them in a new, fresh way. And it's interesting how we started with the love stuff right away, because with the other pals, it hasn't been that way, but something tells me that that's very important to you. And we also have the moon card. This moon is coming up 3 times. Moon, moon, moon. So many feelings in the month of April. So many experiences having to connect with your soul and your emotional internal world. That is a very strong feeling here with the moon. And also, the moon lets me know where you currently are here, because I've pulled it for this purpose as well. And it lets me know that you're in a place that feels a little bit like purgatory. It's just a moment where you're not sure exactly what the next step is. And even if you do know what the next step is, you may not know how to get there. The moon is definitely a card that connects to confusion and having to listen to your intuition to guide you through the darkness. And maybe some of you are going through a dark time right now, or maybe you're just going through a time where it feels like you feel a little bit lost, right? You feel like you need some guidance. You wished you had someone there to provide that sense of guidance, to let you know the right steps, to give you the right path. And it's very interesting when I pull this card, because, and I'm talking about the Nakshatra card here, because when I pull moon ruled nakshatras, and just generally when I look at the lives of moon ruled people, a lot of them will often at some point in their life say that they feel like they had someone sort of guiding them or giving them a path. That is a recurring theme for moon ruled people. Like their destiny is told to them. Their moral backing, their way of moving through the world was provided to them. Their way of thinking was inherited to them without questioning it. And they will sort of move in that pattern and move in that way for a while until they get to a point where it's just like, is this actually who I am, or is this my mother's voice? Is this actually who I am, or is this what I was told by society? Is this propaganda? And the moon heavily relates to the media and propaganda and, Big Brother's watching and things along the lines of that. But I'm getting a little bit off track. So essentially, this feels like a month where you may be questioning who you are, where you may be questioning the world around you, where you may even be relying on your senses. And you may even be feeling that right now. Like I said, you may feel like something is not quite right, or even just maybe not quite right. It's not the right word for it, but something feels like you don't quite have a grasp on it, but you know that you're being called to be pulled in a different direction. So that is what I see here. And especially I get the moon card on days that represent having to navigate a world or an environment that feels a little bit foreign, that feels like you're a fish out of a water, like you feel like a fish out of the water, you feel like an alien, you feel like you're a little bit different from those around you, and you're trying to assimilate, but it doesn't quite feel like you're showing the world who you are. And that could be what you're going through right now, where you're saying, I feel a little bit different from those around me. I feel like I don't quite understand the rules of this situation. I feel like I quite don't understand the direction I'm supposed to take. I feel like I quite don't understand what exactly it is that I'm doing here. Sometimes it gets that deep. Now, if it's not that deep for you, then we know the moon, like I said, leans into following your intuitive nature, allowing it to guide you towards your dreams, towards success, towards this palace here, like we have on the cards, like this beautiful imaginary world, this fantastical, I think that's the word, this fantastical world where anything is possible, where there's mystery, where there's magic, and the moon connects very heavily to magic. And so I feel like for some of you, you're manifesting something, or you will be manifesting something for the month of April. And it's quite possible that you're starting to see the tangible reality of that manifestation coming true. And I say that because we have this Four of Wands here, and we have this Eight of Pentacles. And something tells me that, one, you're going to get some really good news when it comes to your career for the month of April, or you're going to have some sort of celebratory moment in regards to your career, whether that is you receiving praise, whether that's feeling like you are in a happy work environment. Maybe there's some celebrations going on at work. I'm not really sure. Maybe it feels like you finally get like a break or something along the lines of that, where you have a little bit more freedom, where there's less pressure. Maybe there's less to do at work for the month of April for some of you. But Four of Wands is definitely feeling like you have this burden lifted and you're allowed to just have fun, and you're allowed a little bit more freedom. Maybe you're able to even just, scroll on YouTube at work a little bit more for the month of April. It could be something simple like that. And it could be something as big as a promotion, because the Four of Wands represents a foundation of stability and growth and possibility. And since I know that you're already manifesting something, I'm sure you're trying to manifest something positive. Most people don't try to manifest something negative for themselves. Then I really do feel like there's an opportunity to be celebrated. Maybe you're, like I said, to be celebrated at work often means something like a raise or promotion or a new title or some sort of opportunity to be a part of some project or that you've wanted to be a part of, or even receiving your congratulations from coworkers or standing out in some way and being celebrated for something, being praised, giving the opportunity to even really connect with, you know, the people around you or your boss, your your coworkers is what I was trying to say. Potential customers, depending on what type of area you work in. This just represents like, hey, it's a good time. People are peaceful. People are happy. Like, we're all getting along for the most part. I'm receiving congratulations. I'm receiving praise. I'm receiving pats on the back. Like, people feel like, hey, I'm one of the team. I'm a part of something. I feel like I'm in good company. And that's what the month of April feels like. It feels a little bit like good company when it comes to work. And like I said, with the manifesting something material and something that's going to be right in front of you, we also had that Eight of Pentacles, right? And the Eight of Pentacles is very interesting for finances because it doesn't necessarily mean that you will have a lot of money and things are going to be like you're raking in the dough, but it doesn't mean you're broke either because it's the Eight of Pentacles. What I've found the Eight of Pentacles to mean in terms of finances is that you're supported, and sometimes that means like, okay, my parents pay for something. Other times it can mean like I have a boyfriend or a girlfriend who pays for something. And then other times the Eight of Pentacles can represent investments or loans and things along the lines of that. But you have to remember the Eight of Pentacles represents that apprentice and having someone who is a financial backer. And then sometimes that can even mean, not to say that you're not supporting yourself, but sometimes that can even mean that an employer provides you an opportunity and they pay for something. Like, let's say you wanted a certification. Instead of paying for it for yourself, your company pays for it because they want you to grow and they want you to improve. They want you to do better. They want you to expand and do more. That's something that means when it comes to that. It feels like that you have this opportunity, or you're being provided like an opportunity and an experience that you don't have to invest so much of your money onto. And then I also get the Eight of Pentacles for finances to represent you working on some skill that could potentially make you more money in the long run. And also refining skills or perfecting skills that you already have to help you grow in the future. But generally, it's a very positive card when it comes to funds. I'm not saying that like you're going, like I said, I'm not saying you're going to suddenly be rich, but that is one of the possibilities. And then also with the Eight of Pentacles, it represents kind of going through your finances with a fine-tooth comb, looking at all the details. What have you paid for? What have you been buying? How you've been spending things? Like, how have you been working to grow your money? Have you been financially responsible? Have you been paying off your credit card debt? Have you been paying off your loans? Like, it's very much like making sure that every sort of loose end is tied up. And I know for this month, April, taxes are due. So taxes are due. So a lot of people are coming through that. And then, like I said, this can also be like a tax refund. Like, I'm getting my money back from the government because I have overpaid in taxes and things along the lines of that. So receiving that back, receiving your own money back, really, essentially, because the government took too much. That is definitely very, very Eight of Pentacles. But either way, it can represent refining your finances, refining your finances. And then also, like I said, it's also to create a budget, work on tracking spending, breaking down your paycheck. Like, it's a very responsible card when it comes to money. And so I see a lot of responsibility in that area. I also see you allowing yourself to enjoy your life and to try new things, be supportive of other people, receiving support from others as well, especially with this card, Rohini. Rohini is a card that's really great in social situations, and thus they tend to attract a lot of people. They tend to have people sort of gravitate towards them, like this moon card here. And then we got the moon here. And since the moon is in the 5th house, one thing that I've seen, if you follow the astrologer Claire Nocti, she did a study on fame. And one of the main indicators of fame was having the moon in the 5th house. And I'm not saying, oh, this month you're going to be famous, but it can represent a boost in popularity for the month. Like, you're that it guy or it girl that everyone wants to be around, or even just your friends are like calling on you more. Your friends are spending more time. They want to be in your space. They want to be in your energy, especially at work. Like, you could even be making new friends at work. Maybe you got a new job and you're making new friends, or maybe somebody new comes in and you really connect with them. But it really is a card that represents like having that star power, having that ability to connect. And as I mentioned, the moon really draws people in. There's this intuitive vibe. Like, I know the people, I understand how they work. It's intuitive, it flows. And there's a whole deep meaning in it, but I don't want to go off too into a tangent, because you guys know I love to do that. My voice is getting dry right now. I need some water. So that's why I'm like, part of the reason I also don't want to kind of go off into that area. But essentially, there's a boost in popularity, there's a boost in likability, there's a boost in attracting people, there's a boost in others wanting to be around you and be in your company. And thus I see in the month of April, a lot of social happenings are occurring. There's a lot of time with friends, there's a lot of time, and if it's not with friends, then it's doing things that you want to do, and being outside, being happy. Maybe you're a more inside person. The cards don't say we aren't focused on that. But the 5th house generally is just how you like to have fun. You know, I'm not going to put any parameters on it and just say, oh, this is going out to the club, or this is going out to a game. It's just how you like to have fun. It's that simple. And not only that, but the 5th house also represents a break. It represents not working. It represents spending time and doing what you want. And that's because it is the 12th from the 6th. So it is the loss of the 6th house. And the 6th house is work. So what is the loss of work? Unemployment, right? It means free time. It means that. Not to say you're unemployed. It looks like, well, maybe for some of you, I'll say for 15%, because, you know, 4 of Wands in the career house can represent, you know, I took a break from work, you know, F that job, right? Like, I'm going to have some fun. But maybe for some of you, it's that. But I think for most of you, it's more than likely just, I'm enjoying my life. I'm having more fun. I'm having greater experiences. I'm exploring. Rohini is a very explorative card. Anytime you see like these Rohini movies, like, or Rohini characters in movie, like, what's his name? Prince Eric and the Little Mermaid. There was another one that was like about mermaids or merman or sea monsters. What's that? Luca. Another Rohini character having to do with wanting to go outside of their small town and explore the world. If you've ever seen What's Eating Gilbert Grape, there was a female character who was also Rohini, and she was always trying to encourage, I think, Johnny Depp's character to look beyond that small town, to go further. So Rohini wants to go further, wants to travel more. And that's why you also see Rohini connected to the ox. And I even did a little post on it about how it's about expanding your mind, expanding your world, and going out there and seeing everything, seeing the possibilities, seeing how big, bright, and beautiful the world can be, or even dark and scary. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but it's about seeing something different, something from beyond yourself, going out there. And that's why its symbol is the ox and cart. It's about bringing things to the market, which means showing people what the world is truly about, showing people what's out there, bringing the fruits and to harvest. That's why you have moon rule placements like Charavana, being the messenger of the gods or something like that. So it's like that in-between place between, hey, I'm the person who's going to be like a translator. That's why you have them connected, especially Charavana, to psychic energy and things along the lines, being intuitive, being able to connect. I'm ranting on like I'm doing. My voice is too dry for this. But essentially, it's about connecting different things from one a group of people to another group of people, meaning like, oh, I've been to China and I'm going to tell people what it was like in China. I'm going to tell people in America what's it like in China, right? That's a very Rohini type of thing to do. Or I've been to this really cool store and I'm going to tell people what it's like there. Or you might have a Rohini journalist who's just like, hey, I went to this tech convention and I saw this new technology and I'm going to tell people about this technology. I've met Rohini people who were like futurist, right? So they're telling people about something that they may not easily have access to. So that's why I say this month of April is all about sharing your experiences with others and connecting with other people and doing things that you like fun. And it can even be something like, it doesn't have to be something that, something, what's the word I want to use for? It doesn't have to be something outlandish or over the top. It can really be something simple like, I read a book and I want to tell you about this amazing book. Or I read a TV show and I want to tell you about this really cool show. Or, you know, I went to this amazing store and look at this cool coat that I got from the store. But it's about sharing that and putting yourself out there. And sometimes it's, you know, sharing yourself, sharing your thoughts, your creativity, your experience, having a great desire for charisma. And then I already mentioned the love stuff where you could be finally opening up yourself to other people and experiencing them. And Rohini has this reputation for wanting to be more free. What's that Spike Lee film? She's Gotta Have It. I think the latest version stars like, it was a TV series for a little bit, stars a Rohini native, where she has like 3 different guys, right? That she's kind of experiencing and dating around and trying to understand like who she is, or just enjoying her life in that way. It can be very much like, I want to experience the fullness that life has to offer, whether that's through other people or things or going to different places. It's opening up your mind. So I really feel like that's going to be happening a lot for you for the month of April, pal number 3. So that is what I have for you before I lose my voice. It's already cracking. I'm so sorry for this, pal number 3. I did not expect this to happen, okay? But I do feel like this is a very positive month. I do feel really good about it. I don't know, I just have a smile on my face for this month for you, pal number 3. This is really good. Even if you feel a little bit lost or confused right now, follow your intuition, let it guide you, lean into it, trust that if you feel something's off, then it's off. If something feels like this is the right thing for you, then it might just be the right thing for you, but open yourself up to those experiences. Rohini, the power to grow. You are growing this month. You are ascending this month. You are creating this month because Rohini is connected to Brahma, the creator. So keep in mind for that. And this can also represent having a very strong, stable, good mental health month, where if you feel even just like a little bit anxious or confused right now, that'll clear up. So that is what I have for you, pal number 3. Hopefully this resonates. If not, choose a new pal, or you could choose a new reader. Either way, I'm happy you stopped by. And hopefully I will see you next time. If you have a question for me, all you have to do is join the live sessions. You can ask that question. I go live on the weekends. The time is posted on the community tab. And I also poll, so you can vote on what reading you want to see next. And I'll see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal number 3. Let's get started on your reading. What is coming for April in terms of finances, love, and career? So this card represents you and your energy and where you're currently at. This is your finances, and this is career, and this is love. So we have the King of Wands, the Fool, the Ace of Cups, and the 10 of Cups. And I'm going to pull an overarching card. These are my Nakshatra cards. Just going to shuffle away. Normally I don't like to do this on camera, but let's get some camera current energies. Just takes a little bit more time when you shuffle on camera. Let me go through this and pick a card for you, lovely astronauts. Oh, we have one. It is Revity. And on top of that, we have the gift of these lovely Astro Dice. So let's get into the Astro Dice. We have the 6th house. Make sure. Nope. That is the 9th house. We have the 9th house. We have Libra. And we have Neptune. So Neptune in the 9th house in Libra. All right. So let's look at these cards here. We have the King of Wands for your energy, where you're at, you know, where you're coming from, things along the lines of that. It shows that you have been very proactive. You've been the king of your castle. You have been taking care of all your responsibilities. You have been a go-getter. You've been thinking about your future. And sorry if you hear any noise in the background. It tends to be a little bit louder in this house. But you have been the king of your castle, taking care of everything you need to do. And not only that, but taking actions to develop and grow your future and to gain success in the long run. You know, wands are all about these energy outpouring that we do as people. And the King of Wands has a lot of energy and he is extending it for as far as it can reach. You know, he has a whole kingdom he needs to pour into. And so the King of Wands likes to focus on general life path directions, just any area in life. I mean, it is connected to the 1st house. The 1st house is yourself and generally how you navigate and move through the world, like the character that you play, your identity, who you are. So you feel like this, I feel like lately the cards are telling me that you have been stepping into your power, that you have been true to yourself, that you have been focusing on your goals and the things that bring you excitement and you joy. And not only that, but you have been very driven, you've been very ambitious, and you've been taking some bold moves. And honestly, because we have the King of Wands here, it looks like it has been paying off. Stumbling over my words here. You know, we also have it connected to the 5th and 9th house, which are very educational houses. And it's funny that we have the 9th house here energy twice. And I say we have it twice because that King of Wands does connect to the 9th house. And we also rolled the dice and got the 9th house. So to me, when I see the 9th house, I know we're talking about higher mind, higher wisdom, growing, learning, expanding your mind, your belief systems, your inspirations. So it feels like the month of April, it's like a continuation of feeling to be inspired in a way, especially with Neptune in the 9th house. Neptune in the 9th house can do two things. It brings about more inspiration, or it can help you let go of things and belief systems that no longer feel right for you. And that can be so many different things. If we're quite if we're quite literal with it, then this can represent like, hey, you know, I grew up in this type of church and then I decided that church doesn't really resonate with me anymore. So I transition and I go into a new church and I find something that fits more in line with my belief systems. And it can be something from simple to like, oh, I used to be really into celebrity culture and following the news and the latest updates on that. But now I just want to see real everyday people, which I think is a societal trend right now. Not that we don't like celebrities and love them anymore, but you definitely see more people focusing on everyday people. They want more relatability. So that's something having to do with a transition of beliefs. And I just gave two examples, but obviously this can represent many different areas in your life in terms of your beliefs. This can also represent that inspiration, as I was just saying before, where you're starting to feel a little bit more excitement about things that might possibly be coming. It feels to you like you're on the precipice of change and transformation. Maybe you have a new idea that you want to explore and, you know, dig your hands into. Maybe you have a new project that you want to start, whether that's like, you know what, I've always wanted to start a YouTube channel. Let me start a YouTube channel. Or I've always wanted to start my own business selling digital content on Etsy. Let me dive into that. Or even if it's just not a hobby that's public or available, then it can be something along the lines of, I've always wanted to, you know, get into pottery, and I have had this curiosity about it, and now I'm going to go take a pottery class and I'm going to experiment and go into that area. You have to remember the 9th house is from the 5th, and 5th houses are hobbies. So the 9th house can represent a higher version of your hobbies, meaning something that's very specialized and focused. So I really just want to focus my energy on this thing. That becomes like the 9th house. That's why the ninth house is connected to things like doctorates and master's degrees. It's a specialized skill that you have. And so even this month, if you already have that specialized skill, then this would be you working even more on that skill and refining it and making sure it's at the place that you want it to be at. Okay, I want to let you know that when it comes to the month of April. And then I've obviously gotten the ninth house to represent media in a sense. So you may be consuming a lot of media this month, whether that is just like you watching TV or news or on social media. Whether that's you on media or news or social media, it represents being consumed with information, wanting to dive deeper into that world around you and doing these deep dives. Like sometimes the ninth house just represents watching a lot of video essays. I remember when I've had ninth house transits, I've had these time periods where I would consume certain types of long form media. On VH1, this television network, I'm not sure if it's even around anymore because I don't watch too much TV, but they used to have these sort of documentary formats like I love the 80s, I love the 90s, I love the 70s. And sometimes they would just do a very general decade, and then sometimes they would do specific years like 1977, 1995, and they would talk about Woodstock and things along the lines of that. But that was a ninth house transit for me where I was doing a deep dive through media on history, and it was the history of media. So, so that could be something that's like very specialized. That would be my ninth house being ignited, consuming certain types of media that's very focused and specialized. And it could be something similar for you, but it really does represent your areas of interest. So it's hard to be specific about that. It has to be an area obviously you're interested in or highly interested in. I've obviously had ninth house transits that make me dive deeper into astrology or tarot or things along the lines of that. So it really depends on who you are, but you can be taking a stronger interest in the things that you are interested in. That sounds like a tongue twister, but that is essentially something that's going to be part of your April. When we talk about finances here, we have the Fool. Now I don't want to scare you. Because this is not necessarily good, it's not necessarily bad, it's just kind of one of those things. The Fool represents new energy. And so if you have been in a very struggle type of place financially, then this can represent having a good clean slate where the month of April, maybe you're able to pay off credit card debt, maybe you're able to take out some sort of loan, or what do you call it when you consolidate a loan where you may have had like multiple different loans and you consolidate so it's one interest rate and you're like paying it all off at once. You could be receiving some sort of financial opportunity which would allow you to have that clean slate, whether that is a new job or a new source of income. That is also possible. But on the other hand, for some of you, and I'm not going to say the percentage wise for this one because it feels like it could be like half and half, right? For some of you, the Fool can represent erraticness, where the month of April feels like financially it's just so hard to get control of things. And that's because the Fool energy, or as previously known as, madness, as they used to call it, like the crazy one, the person who is just unpredictable, it can represent those circumstances that just, you can't control them. Every day is a new day when it comes to your financial situation. Sometimes this is like I'm flying by the seams of my pants or something along the lines of that. There's the seams of my pants and I don't know what's gonna happen next. It seems like I get a new expense every day. I get a new bill every day. I'm spending money in ways that may not totally be responsible. I have to be honest with you and talk a little bit about accountability, because on one hand, it may not be you. It may just be that your circumstances have come up in a way where expenses are just expensing, right? Like you just gotta pay for it. It's not what you want to pay for, but it's popped up and now you gotta pay for that. And And then on the other hand, this can represent impulsive buying or buying things that you may not necessarily need or can pay for. Like you're like, buy now, pay it off later. Think about paying it off later, which I know a lot of people do. Like they might pay for a vacation that they can't afford, and then the next several months they have to spend financing and paying for that vacation back rather than saving for the vacation, then going on it. But that happens. The Fool is very impulsive. So finances may be a little up and down this month. And there was something else I wanted to say about the Fool card as well. Sometimes the Fool card can represent new financial situations, meaning paying for things that you may not have paid for before. So for example, like if you're buying your first car, that would be the Fool. If you're getting your first credit card, that would be the Fool, a new beginning. If you're opening up a savings account or a bank account, that would be a Fool type of transaction going on in there because it's something new. It's something you haven't done before. And so you have to keep in mind that the the second house, or the Fool type energy, where we're talking about finances is what I'm trying to say, can represent newness, new financial situations that you may not have done with before. And it may not even be something that is revolutionary or life-changing or something like that. Like, for example, if you're a person who's never used Uber and then you use it for the first time, that's a new financial situation that you may find yourself in, right? That's different. You're like, I've never used rideshare. Now I'm using my money to use rideshare. Or I've never used Venmo. Now I find myself using Venmo. I've never used Cash App. Now I'm using Cash App. Like, these are things that happen when it comes to the Fool. It's like I'm giving you something different that you have to deal with in terms of financial situations. I know personally, I got the Fool to represent like, I think like my experiences with taxes this year, and trust me, it's been insane. And it's definitely not been any fault of my own. I've had to chase down employers for W-2. And for the first time, I've actually had to call the IRS. And I'm like, I've never had to call the IRS in my life. And that would be the Fool, right? That's me experiencing something new. So I'm giving you ideas. It's not necessarily all bad, but sometimes when you're dealing with new situations, it can be a little daunting or stressful just because it's new to you. So you don't know exactly what to do or the rules or anything like that. So keep in mind, financial situations very flexible this month, a little unpredictable, but also can bring you new opportunities and new knowledge, right? You're learning more about certain financial areas. And I've even gotten it to represent like talking to a financial advisor for the first time. So maybe this is your first time in your life, you have to end up talking to a financial advisor to advise you, or to help, or somebody to help you with your taxes. I forgot the specific title for people who help with taxes, but something along the lines of that is something that you would have to do with these types of cards, or what the Fool is talking about. It's new beginning in your finances. And I've already talked through all the different circumstances, so let's not repeat myself. We also want to get into what we have here with it comes to your career, which is the Ace of Cups, another card representing a new beginning. So I think I've been saying this for a lot of you, but this card I want to emphasize it for. And I want to emphasize it for because we do have a ace in the house, not the house, the placement that's representing career. And so for me, it's like you're receiving a new opportunity within your job or your career to bring about something that could bring potential fulfillment, to bring about happiness for you. And that could be within the realm of a new job, as I've mentioned before, but I specifically want to emphasize it for this pile, just because of that ace energy, and it's new, which represents an ending and a beginning. And if we're talking about endings and beginnings with jobs, we're probably talking about a change in jobs, or even possibly a change in career. Or, as I was mentioning before with the 9th house in terms of inspiration and reasoning, when we have the 9th house, it is the 12th from the 10th house. So it is kind of like the subconscious of the 10th house. Like, what is inspiring this motion? What is inspiring me to get a job? And so you may even have new inspiration when it comes to, why do I wake up in the morning to go to work? It's like you've set a new goal for yourself. Maybe your goal used to be that you wanted to get to a bunch of different promotions in your career, and eventually be this established force and be recognized in that way. Now this month you may have a different motivation where you're just like, I actually don't want to do that anymore. I actually want to get up and go to work so that I can have enough money to save, to invest, and then to eventually go off and do my own thing. Or I'm going to work so that I can gain a specific skill that I might find beneficial and useful to me in the future. And I think this job will provide that. You know, that's something. It's like a change in your motivations when it comes to the work. This could also represent some newness and freshness within the work environment. Perhaps they're implementing new rules or new structures or a new project, or even hiring new people could possibly be with the Ace of Cups here. This could be like I'm switching departments. This could be like there's somebody new coming in and I have to help train them. This could be like, hey, I have someone here that I can finally like kiki with at work, like whatever the case may be, but there is some new energy coming in within the work environment. This can also represent, if we're talking about things that aren't necessarily as pleasant, then it can represent that work is making you very emotional. It's making you go through different highs and lows, because the Ace of Cups isn't necessarily always just positive emotions. Sometimes I get it to represent being overwhelmed, like feeling like a lot of emotions, whether that's anger, whether that's happiness, whether that's satisfaction, whatever the case may be, but it's a pool of emotions that is coming out, and it feels like your work is igniting those emotions within you that maybe they didn't used to. Maybe your work used to be very stressful and now certain things have happened. Maybe you've gotten rid of like a terrible boss and now you can feel this huge sense of relief, whatever the case may be. But the emotions around work are changing. And that's going to depend, obviously, on what exactly might be going on within those circumstances. We also get cups to and sorry for any noise in the background, pile number 3. It can be noisy in this house sometimes. I cannot wait to move. So when we have the Ace of Cups, it is connected to the 12th, 8th, and the 4th house. And my mind goes to the 8th house, only because the 8th house represents like sudden transformative changing situations, and we have so much energy representing change here from the Fool, the Ace of Cups, and the 10 of Cups. And not even that, but Revati is the last nakshatra, so it's like an ending in itself. So we have so many things representing new beginnings and then endings, right? And it's very interesting that you have this combination of new beginnings and endings, because to me it just feels like April is such a big shift for you. There's so many different things going on that are changing and transforming your life for the better is what it looks like. For the better is what it looks like, even if the transition period is not exactly easy, which transitions often aren't. They often aren't, but they usually leave us in a better place. So what we see here is, I almost lost my train of thought. What was I going to, there was something I was going into. Oh, what we see here when we talk about like the 8th house was the transition. That's why I was talking about the 8th house. Particularly, I was drawn to that. The fact that it's so transformative, the fact that there's so many transitions, the fact that you're in this period where you're shifting to a new place, and it's happening within the month of April, okay? This change, this transformation. And for me, it looks like it's really good. It looks like it's really good, and it's bringing some freshness and some new energy within your life. So I don't think you've been bored, because we have the King of Wands here, and we have this Neptune in the 9th house, which shows that you've sort of been on like the inspiration, I'm waking up every day type of vibe, and I'm feeling motivated energy. That is what this energy is giving me. Neptune in Libra does bring about some very deep connections too. So maybe that's what's going on when it comes to this career as well as love, because we have the 10 of Cups in the love position. So love's going good. Love's going really good for you, pal number 3. I don't know if you're single in a relationship, but if you're in a relationship, this is one big happy family, one big happy home. You have this beautiful, wonderful connection with your partner, especially like with this Neptune and Libra energy. That feels like a spiritual connection. That feels like a connection made through compassion and understanding. That is a connection where you have a deep empathy for one another. And in Vedic astrology, Revati is in the sign of Pisces. It's where Venus is exalted. And when Revati is kind of in its highest form, it represents divine love. It is very much like Neptune energy in that way, where you're like, hey, I love you to infinity and beyond. And if I can spend the rest of my life with you, then I know my life has a purpose. Like, it's that kind of deep love where you can kind of get wrapped up in it. And it feels like when it comes to love that month, if you're in a relationship, that's what it starts to feel like. That's the energy that I'm pulling from this cards and the dice and everything here. A lot of understanding, a lot of emotional maturity, a lot of growth, a lot of working through the problems. No 4 horsemen of the relationships, meaning no contentment, no criticism, no stonewalling. And what is the other one? I can't remember the 4th one. I'm sure I'll remember it later. But there's none of that going along. There's openness, there's love, there's kindness, there's respect. This feels like a good relationship. Happy home, happy family, happy times. Now, if you're single, you know, this might be the end of your singledom, all right? Especially with the 10 of Cups here, because that's representing a completion and ending. And when we have Neptune and Libra, Neptune and Libra wants to connect. It wants to reach out and hold someone's hand and say, I love you. Do you love me? And then they say, I love you back, right? That's very much like Neptune and Libra energy. So this month of April, you know, you might have a lot of thoughts about love. You might have a lot of thoughts about relationships. You may even find yourself, you know, dating someone that you really like and enjoy within the month of April. It feels like this person has a deep connection to you, and the communication is natural and it flows and everything feels right. It feels like, oh, this just might be my person. We have similar things in common. We share interests. We can talk on the phone for hours. We can text for hours, whatever the case it is. But, you know, Revati does like that sort of intense connection. Okay, you know, the power to nourish right there on Revati's card. So nourishment for one another. So it's, like I said, it could possibly be meeting someone who is nourishing you, or you deciding that, hey, I think it's time for me to get back out into dating and nourish my soul. I think it's time for me to connect with others. I've been single too long and I've been good at it and I've been happy and I've been doing well, because the cards show you've been doing well. And you're like, I'm ready to step out there. It's time for that new beginning. It's time for that fresh start. It's time for me to step out into the world. All right. It is time for me to, it's time for me to give my love that I've been giving to myself to someone else. It's time for me to share my gifts with others, which, when we have the 9th house, that is all about sharing your gifts with others. It's all about showing yourself to the world. So keep that in mind when we're talking about Revati. And I love how on the card we have infinity, which to me, when I've seen Revati sort of stories and people, it's about how things move in this sort of like circle-like pattern. Like we live, we die. Like they say, an old one dies and a new one is born. And that feels like, to me, for you, pal number 3, when it comes to your love, you're being reborn. You're being reborn and you're shedding all of those past dating experiences behind you, and you're leaving them and you're entering a new phase in your life. And then the last thing we want to talk about is travel, because I would be remiss to not mention travel when we got the 9th house and we have Revati. It's even on the card, safe travels, right? Those two energies connect heavily to traveling and experiencing, honestly, things from beyond, or even just like a different location. Like, I mean, from a spiritual standpoint, Brevity obviously is like connecting to the spiritual world. But if we're just talking about everyday things, then it's just traveling. It's just going to a different place, doing your own thing, living by your own rules, making it up as you go, and ultimately trying to find your person in the world that is right for you. And what I've seen with Revati is, you know, they'll go the distance to do so. I think Mercury ruled nakshatras can be one of the loneliest ones, and they're always looking for that connection. And I feel like this month, you're really searching for that connection if you're single. And I think there's going to be some good opportunities to connect. And if not this month, then pretty soon, because like I said, the Ten of Cups is representing that ending. So singledom is coming to an end, all right? Keep that in mind and be open. Be open to that belief, because there's people out there that want to date you. There's people out there who see your worth and see your beauty and see that you're an attractive, smart, go-getter person, and they want to get to know you a little bit better. So you're really going to be start opening up and sharing yourself to the world, because you've already got so much love and beauty within your life that I think this is just like, all right, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to have faith. I'm going to jump and do that, right? And it may come in unexpected circumstances, is what I am saying. But a lot of boldness, a lot of brave moves, a lot of trying different things, a lot of stepping outside of your comfort zone in April. Just want to throw it out there with Revati. You know, Revati is not a boring placement. It's really something. All right. All right. Just saying that it's very, very out there type of energy. So be prepared to kind of roll with the punches. Be open to it. So that is what I have for you, pile number 3. Hopefully this resonates. If not, feel free to choose a new pile, or maybe I'm not the reader for you. Either way, I'm very happy you stopped by. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And I love to hear what you have to say with the readings. I always enjoy your feedback, and I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pile number 1. Let's get started on how April will be for you. And I do have a little surprise in terms of cards. We have the 4 of Pentacles representing you, the 10 of Wands representing finances, we have the Sun for career. My mind just blinked. And we have the 4 of Wands for love. And to pull everything together, astronauts, I do have my little nakshatra cards. And let's just move them about real quick and pull one for you. Normally I like to shuffle off camera. It saves a little time. I don't even think you can still see it, but I'm shuffling them away. Let's whip one out for you. We have Critica, just to bring everything together. And I'm gonna roll some dice just to get like a little bit more of the overall themes. Yeah, a very intensive monthly reading we have here for you. We have Aries, the 10th house, and Neptune. Ooh, wow. And Aries will be and Neptune will be in Aries by the time this reading goes up in Western astrology. So, very interesting month. So, your energy right now is this 4 of Pentacles. Very much feeling, sometimes the 4 of Pentacles can feel a little stuck. Like they feel like they are between a rock and a hard place. Like they want to take some sort of big risk and big leap, but they have a lot of fears and things holding them back because they currently right now have a lot of stability, and thus by taking a gamble, it's like, wow, I'm really risking that stability. I'm really risking not being able to have anything to fall back on. There's no plan B here with the 4 of Pentacles. It's like, let's just kind of keep things steady and keep things a little bit more afloat. And then sometimes we get the 4 of Pentacles, obviously, to represent, ooh, I'm guessing that is a sign of something. Things are rolling. The spirit has a lot to say. Let's put that behind here. What I was going to say is it has like this feeling of being scared to take a risk, take chances, but at the same time, it's a very stable card. It's a card of having a solid foundation and having a deep understanding of exactly where you stand in the moment. And the Four of Pentacles knows what they want to do and knows where they want to go, but they're just kind of scared to take that leap. And I'll give you an example. So something that could potentially rock the foundations of stability, since we have a strong focus on career for this type of reading, is that you might be scared to jump industries. You might feel like, I don't want to apply to things outside of my field or knowledge base. Or maybe it is you're like thinking of diving into that area, but you're like, oh, I'm so unfamiliar with it. I'm so unsure. Will I even be good at it? Will this be the right fit for me? And it just involves a lot of back and forth and uncertainty and doubt when it comes to the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles is that card where it's like, this could end really bad if I decide to take that leap in that direction. People can look at me and think, oh, this person has no clue what they're doing. Four of Pentacles has a little bit of an imposter syndrome. Like, they don't fully believe in themselves. They don't fully believe that they can make it and they can do it. A more extreme example would be to just, quit your job with no safety net. Very eat, pray, love, right? Just saying, hey, I quit, and you just go off and live your little adventure in their life and do the things that you want to do and just figure it out later. Figure it out on a whim, like figure it out as you go. And maybe you've even been contemplating a circumstance similar to that. But the Four of Pentacles, as I said, they don't want to rock the boat too much. They want to go a traditional route. They want to, have the 9 to 5 or the 8 to 4. They want the 401k. They want the steady paycheck. And none of this is bad, None of this is something to be shamed or something that needs some extreme revolution to. But the cards are saying you might be missing out on some opportunities by not stepping fully into the path that you want to go when you take a more traditional, safe route, okay? And the cards know it. You're playing it safe. You are trying to keep things steady. You're trying to keep things afloat. Perhaps you have come out of some sort of rocky period. That is very much the case sometimes with these circumstances. But Spirit just wants you to know that there are more possibilities out there, and don't be afraid to try something new and take a risk and go a different direction. And then, as I was mentioning before, if you have been taking some risk, then the Four of Pentacles is going to lean into more of feelings of insecurity, feelings of more self-doubt. And so cards are saying that you may be feeling like you aren't measuring up to where you think you should be, where you think you should have a certain life, job, skill set, etc. And it's just not there yet. And and in your mind, you're just like feeling a little bit insecure about it, or you're feeling like you're just feeling like there's just got to be more to the picture. There's got to be more out there, and you don't know what to do. Okay, the Four of Pentacles is very much like, I don't know what to do about this situation. Like, I don't feel like I am good enough for this or good enough for that. Sometimes it deals, like I said, with those feelings of just maybe imposter syndrome. Sometimes it deals with feelings of undervaluing yourself, especially with the Four of Pentacles there. And so that's what the cards want to say about where you are now. They want you to believe a little bit more in yourself. Now, when it comes to finances, it's interesting that we got the Ten of Wands, because that's not necessarily something that is horrific. It's not saying that you're going to be broke or anything along the lines of that. Usually it just means that there's a lot to do. Maybe you're filing taxes in April, you know, and you're a little bit overwhelmed with the process. Maybe you are feeling like keeping track of everything or sticking to your budget is a little stressful. Maybe you feel overwhelmed with, you know, debts or loans or even future planning with the Ten of Wands there. But I don't think you should fret or you should worry too much, because the Ten of Wands is like, this is coming to an end. This is not, you don't have to be in this place for long. You don't have to stress about this for too much longer. Things are shifting, things are changing. I remember I got the Ten of Wands towards the end of last year, like how the rest of the year was going to be for me. And yeah, I was very overwhelmed. It was very much a stressful time, and there was a lot of work to be done. But after that year ended, you know, I'm not in that Ten of Wands mode anymore. Like, I'm not to that level of stress. So the stress wasn't there for that much longer. It wasn't something that was too much to handle. So I just feel like the month of April, things are going to feel a little bit like, oh my goodness, I have to keep track of this thing. I have to pay this bill. I have to make sure that I'm accounting for this thing. If you're somebody who has a business, maybe you're just now like sort of getting the hang of things. Well, maybe not just getting the hang of things, but you're trying to enact maybe a new plan, especially tens represent endings and beginnings. Maybe you're ending a cycle when it comes to how you go about your finances. Reevaluating things, implementing new things, and switching and transitioning to that new system of doing things may be a bit tricky for you. Ten of Wands can also represent sort of unexpected things coming up financially. But like I said, I don't think this is a terrible card to get for finances, because in my opinion, the Ten of Wands is more so an emotional thing. It's more so a mental thing. It's not necessarily the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is your Four of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles, like I said, very stable card. You know, what has what has four legs? You know, a table, chairs, like beds, like things that are foundations, like house, like well, houses have a little bit more than four sort of little legs, but you know what I mean. Things with the four legs tend to have more balance, and they're steady. So you are steady and you are balanced when it comes to most things. It's just a matter of sort of branching out and experimenting and being open to implementing those changes. Now, keep an open mind for the month of April. Spirit would love that for you. When it comes to your career, we have the Sun. The Sun's absolutely amazing. And we didn't even get into the rest of the stuff. So I'm going to get into these dice really quick because I feel like this connects the most. When we have their career, we have some big, wonderful things coming up. The Sun is something that is happy, transformative, successful, beautiful. And the Kritika card here is a Sun-ruled nakshatra. And not only that, but we have the 10th house going on here, another sort of like career indicator. And the Sun, like I said, I don't think I said this, but I've said it before, the Sun connects to your career and your sort of like path and, you know, your soul's desire here on earth. So we know there's some big things happening for you career wise. And honestly, maybe the Ten of Wands can represent being overwhelmed with an opportunity. Like sometimes things can happen and the circumstances is so profoundly transformative that you might feel like, oh my goodness, like I'm a little bit scared. Like, what if this doesn't work out? You like get some amazing job offer, which is quite possible, or a promotion or some opportunity in the realm of, you know, your career, your job, that it feels like, I can't believe this is happening to me right now. Like, should I go for this? Like, or should I just like choose a different path or stick to the same path that I'm on? This is definitely an evaluation period, but one thing is for sure, it is a new dawn and it is a new day when it comes to the career area of your life. Like I said, Neptune is transiting into Aries starting in the month of March, So by the time you get this video, it probably will already be there or is about to be there, depending on where I post this. But what we have here is that it's showing a lot of changes and transformations within your career. Neptune here is there to dissolve you from any areas of life that are no longer suitable for you. So for example, days in which Neptune has made very strong aspects, I have been, this is a random example, but I have been chewing like the sugar-free gum. And I noticed on those days that my stomach would hurt so bad. Like it would hurt so bad whenever I chewed those sugar-free gums, especially on those Neptune aspect days. And what it made me realize was that sugar-free gum was obviously not good for my system. And Neptune was doing its job to sort of amplify its effects and say, I don't think this is aligned with something that is best for you. Maybe try something else. Now that's a very trivial example, or maybe it's not so trivial because that is some sort of physical pain I'm in, but it's a very small example. This is more something that's a little bit more on a grand level because it's dealing with your purpose and your career. And so Neptune may apply a little pressure to make sure that you are aligned with the right choice for you in your life when it comes to your career. Obviously, like I said, the sun does represent new opportunities that you haven't seen before. And generally, I get the sun on days when it's like everything's going to work out. So when we have this sun card here representing your career, along with these other cards with Neptune, making sure that you are pulling away from circumstances that don't align with you, dissolving connections that just don't follow and align with your true path, then like I said, could possibly be a new job. You could be quitting your job. You could be finding another one. You could get a new offer. You could try a new career path. It's interesting here because the Four of Pentacles doesn't always put you in a state of stagnation. But what it does is it highlights the fear around transformation, and it highlights the fear around change. And what I see here is that you have a lot of reservations when it comes to the future. You are worried that these opportunities might be too good. These opportunities may not work out for you. These opportunities aren't beneficial for you in the long run. These opportunities come with some sort of like hidden agenda going on here. But the thing is, though Neptune can represent, illusion, delusion, whatever the case, fantasy, it also represents major dreams coming true. So when we have it in Aries in your 10th house, it's like your ambitions and your dreams are coming true. You have to think about Aries is that first house of free will. It's that first house of taking the initiative, taking the action, amplifying your force here on earth, like pushing towards your purpose, being driven, being focused, being a little one-track minded. And it's in this career house of this big dreams, ambitions with the planet Neptune of, dreams, fantasies, and big dreams come true, essentially. It's not always just like fairy tale delusion. Sometimes it's real life fantasy. And so for me, it feels like this month in April feels a little bit like a fantasy coming true in terms of the area of like your career ambitions and your goals. Like I said, if you don't have a career, then this would be your goals and things that you're trying to accomplish, and things may feeling like they're coming true. And I really do believe that it's more of a positive interpretation for you, pile number 4, because the sun represents that happiness. It represents that success. It represents that fulfillment. Don't get me wrong. The sun can also represent having a lot of anger too. And I mention that because we have that 10 of Wands. And so 10 of Wands can represent like having that frustration, especially since we pulled it for your finances. And so it can represent having an extreme amount of frustration and stress when it comes to your finances. And it feels like you might feel like you have to be limited. You might feel like you have to scramble and scravenge and scrape and save and things along the lines of that. You don't. I just want to say that you don't. Four of Pentacles is like, you could spend a little bit more money, girl. You'll be okay. And, or a guy, but you'll be all right. You just may feel like if you spend that money, you'll be all messed up inside. So it can feel like you have a lot of restrictions on your finances. You can feel a lot of stress. You can feel a lot of burdens. You can feel a lot of just exhaustion when it comes to managing your finances, and you're like at this breaking point when it comes to April, and you're like, I need to make a change. I need a transformation. And you're going to get that. And it's going to come through a career opportunity. But I do want to say, you're doing a good job. Let it be known that you are doing a really good job. 10 of Wands doesn't come without patience, drive, and focus. And so to get this for your finances, it lets me know that you have actually been working very hard to keep things in order in that area. It's just that you have a lot to take on, and it's probably relatively new. Different years obviously have different sort of changes when it comes to taxes, especially if you're like an entrepreneur. Especially if you like get an inheritance, especially if you win the lotto, especially if you receive like some gift sum of money. Like you may have gone through a previous year, like last year, where you have encountered a bunch of unusual financial situations. Maybe you were like, oh, I went to a tip job. Then I went to a 9-to-5. And then I went to and started my own business. And then now you've got like 3 different areas of finances to deal with. Then maybe you're like, oh, I invest in stocks. And then there's my 401k. And then there's my Roth IRA. And so now you're having to deal with a lot more in that area, as well as probably your own budget. So it's a lot to track. And so that can be very frustrating. But like I said, you'll get the hang of it. You're just being very tight knit right now because it feels overwhelming, but all the cards imply you're stable. So I just want to emphasize that, and that you have an amazing opportunity happening for you, something that's going to make you very happy and bring a lot of joy. Speaking of happiness and joy, the 10th house is not only big wishes dreams come true in terms of career, but it's big wishes and dreams come true in terms of goals, like I just said before. And it looks like in the area of love and romance, I don't know if you're seeing anyone, I don't know if you plan to date or see anyone, but I feel like there is this energy coming in that is so loving and balanced and welcoming. You have 2 4s in this reading. 4s definitely connect to balance. 4s definitely connect to stability. They connect to keeping the status quo and peace and harmony and no disruptions and everything's happy, especially that 4 of Wands celebratory type of energy. And so maybe for some of you, you're possibly meeting someone new. If you've had some sort of goal for like marriage, engagement, some of you might be getting engaged. Some of you might be meeting someone you truly connect with. Someone you may be forming a committed relationships, because I said 4 is about that balance, is about that stability. And you can only really get that through commitment and having a sense of understanding of one another and harmony. So there's no chaos in this area. It's quite beautiful in terms of the love. Now, if you're single and you happen to sort of just stay single through the month of April, then this would obviously do with self-love. This would have to do with marrying yourself, marrying your ambitions, marrying your goals, marrying the things that make you happy and bring you fun and pleasure and excitement and happiness. I think I said happiness twice. So it really does show that you are focusing on making your own dreams come true. Sorry for the camera cut off. It got really hot. So as I was saying with the love stuff, is it definitely represents just having a commitment, being in a stable place in your relationship. So this is actually really amazing if you are in a relationship, or if you're thinking about dating or even getting out there. It doesn't really matter, but if you're single and let's say you decide to just go radio silence when it comes to dating, not even talking or breathing in anyone's direction, then as I said before, this represents just having that happy home. Like you come home and you just feel good about life. You just feel great that you get to be in your own space. You are taking the time to commit to yourself and commit to your own happiness and commit to your own achievements and commit to making your dreams a reality. Especially when we have Critica here. Critica's very much an interesting planet. Not planet, Nakshatra, the sun being its planet. And it's known for sort of like making up its own world. Like there's this element of fantasy we don't talk about enough when it comes to Critica. So someone who can be that a Critica person, who is a Critica person, is Nara Smith. And if you look at the comments, they're all just like, they're so unrealistic, like wearing these ball gowns, making things from scratch, being like a mother of 3 or 4. I'm not really sure how many kids she has. This seems so unrealistic. And I've seen these comments with like Critica people where they cultivate their own life and cultivate their own path that is very unique and maybe not as relatable to others. And I feel like the month of April, there is an element of unrelatability when it comes to your life circumstances, the burdens that you have to face, the opportunities that you get, the love and the happiness that is happening for you. It's not on par with the people around you. I'm not going to say it's not on par with anyone, but it definitely represents having some new circumstances. Critica very much so connects to creation, especially if you see like Critica and Rohini together. And when we have creation, that means we have something new. We have something different. We have transformation coming in. And remember, the sun connects to a new day, and the 10 of Wands is also representing something new coming in as well. And so we have you being able to create your own environment, to create your own dream, to create your own reality, to start anew, to purify things and destroy things that are no longer aligned with your purpose. I know we say that all the time, but this really is a month for that. If you have been undergoing some frustrations, or if you've been in a place of stagnation, I know I was talking about earlier with the 4 of Pentacles representing like fears, but I don't think I emphasized enough that sometimes it's just stagnation. Sometimes it's just like you have thrown a million darts at the board and none of them stuck, and you're just like, what do I do now, right? Well, this represents getting out of that period of stagnation. This is nowhere near that. This is a very much like go-getter energy, transformative energy, change energy, shift energy. It represents focus. It represents drive. It represents achievement. It represents pushing yourself to your highest level, to a place where it feels like you have achieved more independence, which is very much a theme for the month of April, is establishing more independence and autonomy within your career. Perhaps you have experienced a micromanager. Perhaps you've experienced not having a strong enough say when it comes to your responsibilities, or maybe not even having a strong enough say in your career path, because sometimes you just take the opportunities that were handed to you, not necessarily the opportunities that you want. Well, in the month of April, it looks like there are more opportunities to enact your own free will here, especially when it comes to Critica. Critica is an ambitious card. Critica is thoughtful. And Critica is a very calculated sort of energy as well. In the worst case scenario, manipulative, but in the best case scenario, forward thinking and transformative and competitive even. And so it's almost like you're ahead of the competition, specifically in the area of career. Maybe even in the area of finances too, because sometimes when we get the 10 of Wands, it can represent someone who has a lot of burdens, but it kind of reminds me of like that, what do you call that? It's a phenomenon of when you have somebody who's a star player or the star team member, and because they are a star team member, their reward ends up being receiving more work. So like the reward for doing such a great job is that everyone wants to give you more work to do, and thus you become burdened. And so that could also be possibly what's going on here in this world of finances. Okay. So the connection I'm trying to make is that you may actually be a little bit ahead of a curve when it comes to finances, in terms of where you are at with your peers. And it doesn't necessarily mean in terms of making money, but it might be in terms of financial planning or even future planning. So you might be a little bit a step above, and thus you don't have anyone to really help you and guide you through those such situations, thus reverting back to the independence type of nature, the independence, the going your own path, the being someone who is treading their own way within the world. Critica is this placement where I don't believe that in the month of April you'll be asking for a lot of help, because any Critica person I have ever met struggles in that area. Like you could ask them a million times, can I help you with this? Can I help you with this? They'll say no, 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 no each time. They don't like to be beholden to anyone. They don't like to have to rely on others. They love that sense of hyper-dependence, sustainability, I did it myself type of energy. And I really feel like in certain areas, not all, in certain areas in your life, it's very much I did it myself. I accomplished this myself. I carried these burdens on my back. I carried this team on my back. Like I carried my family on my back. Like it's this energy that wants to feel like a true leader, who wants to feel like the one who is guiding the troops, instead of feeling like this is a collaborative effort. It feels like I'm enacting my will, I'm doing things my way, and I don't need any help from anyone. So the month of April really has that vibe to it, where you might be in that spirit. And it's probably because you've been in this place of stagnation. You've been in this place that feels like you can't go the places you wanted to go and do the things you want to do, or make the money you want to make, or spend your life and do things in life that would really bring you a lot more fulfillment and happiness. And now it's happening in such a big way in April, in such a huge way, that it really does feel very daunting and phenomenal. Phenomenal is the word that I want to use when it comes to that. But I do feel like that there's so much good here going on. Critica loves partnership. Granted, I will say Critica's people do, struggle in that area a little bit. Just because, like I said, to be in a relationship, you kind of have to depend on others. But it looks like for you in particular, pile number 4, you're not really struggling and asking for help when it comes to getting your emotional needs met, especially since we have the 4 of Wands when it comes to that love and commitment and ceremony and friends and family, which you might even be spending a little bit more time with friends and family this month, or even just like one particular friend or 2 particular friends, because the 4 of Wands represents like that small intimate connection with people. It's not necessarily having to do with a bunch of people being around and, well, it is to do with a bunch of people being around, but it's under the guise of I'm being committed to one person. So I'm giving my energy to one person, and other people are watching me celebrate that love and that union. So like I said, if you're single, then this could be connecting with a friend on some level, because love is not just romantic, right? It is friendship. It's our family. It's the people that we care about, the people that are close to our heart. So it feels like a little bit of a reunion, or excitement or happiness, just coming together with someone that you enjoy spending your time with, or even just something that you really enjoy doing. But I really do feel like this month of April, I'm trying to think of like anything. There was something in particular that I wanted to say about Critica. A lot of the times with Critica, you end up making sacrifices for others without them having to ask. And I think that will be part of the reason that you may find yourself feeling a little bit burnt out in certain areas for the month of April. So don't be surprised if maybe others come to ask for you for help or for guidance. But one thing's for certain is when we have this Neptune in the 10th house, and we have this Sun for your career, is that you're being seen as somebody who's highly sought after, highly desirable, highly knowledgeable, smart, and a little bit mystical in a way. Like, it feels like you have this reputation of feeling a little bit unreal. Like, this person came from the planet Neptune, right? And they are so different from what we normally see when we're interacting with people on our day-to-day. So something about your vibe really screams maybe an element of glamour or element of mystery, or even just this element of free-forming thought, hippie type freedom nature. And there is more freedom in the area of career in your life, and just generally a little bit more freedom of things being opened up, just in your life in general. Because Critica does connect to that sense of freedom, a sense of not being truly and fully bound to anything, being able to just do what you want to do when you want to do it. All right. I do want to make sure that's being noted. But that's what I have for you, pal number 4. Hopefully this resonates. This went on a little bit longer than I thought it would. I didn't think I'd have so much to say, but as always, I'm talking a lot. But that is what I have, and I hope to see you next time. Please leave me a comment. Let me know how your April goes. I am very, very curious, especially about this pile, not this pile in general. Yeah, I am curious about this pile, but especially with this reading, since it's such a different style for me, I would definitely love to hear your feedback and your situations that you're currently going through with this 4 of Pentacles. And keep in touch. Comment below. Talk to me. I love hearing you. And don't forget, if you want to get a live reading from me, all you have to do is head over to those live sessions and ask your question. I'm not doing private readings right now, but I might open it up in the summer. That's a might. That's tentative. We do not know yet. There's a lot of things going on in the summer for me, so we'll see. We'll see. But that's what I have, and I'll see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pile number 4, let's get into April, love, finances, and career. So let's see where you are. You are the King of Cups. And when it comes to finances, we have the Lovers. Your career, we have the Queen of Coins. And for your love life, we have the 4 of Cups. And then I also have my Nakshatra cards, which I'm going to pull for you. We're going to shuffle a little bit. Ooh, they're already on their way to flying here. Let's see if we get this. Shuffle them. Ooh, one flew out. Okay. Let's see what that one is. That is Swati. All right, all right. And we also have our Astro dice. Love being able to use my Nakshatra cards and Astro dice. It feels like I'm in my element. All right, we have Jupiter in Virgo in the 12th house. All right, so let's get into this. So where you are is the King of Cups. So you're quite in a good place overall. And I think for the month of April, it's looking like you have a lot of emotional power, meaning you're not letting things shake you. You have developed good coping mechanisms if they do kind of shake you a little bit or rattle you. You're someone who is allowing yourself to feel all your feelings and sit with them. The King of Cups is generally, you know, emotionally evolved man. He's very peaceful. You know, he says what's on his mind. He allows himself to be vulnerable. He has a great group of friends. He has a healthy support system. And he's looking over the needs of not only himself, but of everyone. It's like you are taking care of the people around you as well. You're ensuring that they are doing well. You're trying to be their support system. And you're keeping these lines of communication strong and open, especially with the people that you care the most about. So we already know that you are in a good space emotionally. You may even be wanting to express yourself more creatively. You might even be thinking about, you know, redecorating your home or reorganizing your space, practicing some feng shui, whatever it is that you might want to do, because we have that sort of watery energy and they connect to like the 12th, the 8th, and the fourth house, which is your home and your emotional world in general. And I want to talk about the 12th house a little bit more because we did roll that on the dice. So when we talk about the 12th house, it definitely connects to a lot of things. It's like our deep subconscious that we kind of have to bring forward, meaning we have to ask ourselves questions like, I am somebody who can't be consistent with a workout routine. And then you have to ask yourself, why can't I be consistent with a workout routine? And then you might answer, because I don't truly believe I can get to the look that I want to get to with my workout routine. And it's like, well, why do I believe that? And it's like, oh, because in childhood, people used to bully me for looking a certain way. And so you kind of go deeper by asking yourself those questions with that 12th house energy coming in. It's about unraveling all of these negative, self-undoing, preconceived notions or behaviors that aren't great for you. It's also a very wonderful house when it comes to exploring your imagination and the realm of possibility, as well as being creative. You get to decide the life and the path that you want for yourself, rather than just, sticking to what might be given to you or the norm or things along the lines of that. And it's also a great house of reflection, as we already mentioned before, with the sort of going back and questioning yourself. But you may not even have to reflect in that way. You could be reflecting on a decision that you might want to make and move forward with in the future. So we know that you're in a reflective period as well, which is also coming up with this Four of Cups. So when it comes to the financial area, we have this Lovers card. And the Lovers is a really good card to get when it comes to finances because it's balance, because it represents two people coming together and sharing ideas and harmony. So one thing that I see with the Lovers is, one, you're working hard to ensure that your finances are stable and balanced, and that you are set up in a way to handle surprise financial purchases or expenses that might come up, because the Lovers can deal with that sense of surprise or emergency or things happening that might be unpredictable in a sense. It is connected to Gemini. It also shows that you may even be receiving some sort of support when it comes to finances, because obviously the Lovers represents two people, two entities coming together. And for some of you, maybe you are blending your finances with someone. Maybe that's with a partner. Maybe you're getting married. I'm not sure. There's lots of different situations. Some people can get inheritances. Some people can get a loan. Some people can start a business with someone, and thus in that way they're blending finances. And then sometimes it's just like, I'm opening up a new account. Like, I have one savings account. Now I'm going to open up two or three, or whatever the case may be. And it shows me that you're taking a more sort of organized approach to your finances. Maybe not extremely strict like we would get with something that might be the Eight of Pentacles, but it does show that there is a plan in place when it comes to your finances, or at least you'll be putting a plan in place when it comes to the month of April. But it looks like things are going well. And excuse me for any noise in the background. So in regards to things going pretty well financially, I also get the Lovers card to represent packages and shopping and things coming in. So you may even be spending your money on buying some things that you need or you want within the month of April, a little bit more so than other months. That is a strong possibility. We also, with this Jupiter in the 12th house, that can represent your finances as well. We often say it is like the financial loss house or something like that, which is fine. It just means that you're spending your money. You can't take it with you when you go. And the 12th house is the house of ascending, right? So it's like, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to dispel of this material wealth. And so we see you spending a lot more money within April, but it's nothing that is going to set you back financially. It's actually going to improve your life in some way. And because the Lovers can represent, obviously, love, quite possibly, you're spending on your money on things that you love and that you really enjoy, and that these aren't just like survival expenses. These are expenses having to do with living your life and enjoying things and making sure that you're having fun and a good time, because Gemini energy wants those experiences. They have that sense of curiosity. They do want to go out there in the world. Not every Gemini is like that. Not everybody who has Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising is like that. But when I see general Gemini energy, it has to do with exploration. And a lot of it, I'll say, can be mental exploration as well, where you may find yourself spending money on things that can build skills or even just build your knowledge. And that can be anything, whether that is you deciding to join a news subscription so you can read articles and read those. That's something that would fall into the lovers categories, because now you're dealing with information and other people's beliefs and things along the lines of that. But it definitely connects to communication in a way. I will say it doesn't necessarily show a financial boost, but it does show some sort of balance and management. Those are the key words when it comes to this type of energy here, and flexibility as well. Being able to roll with the punches. You know, if you get a flat tire and you have to pay for that, you know, this month, then it's not going to hurt you. Okay. So when we talk about career with this Queen of Pentacles, that's very interesting, because when I look at all these cards with, you know, Jupiter in Virgo in the 12th house, to me, it feels like you've reached some sort of pinnacle or platform within your career. And this has to do with taking like the next pivot. And if you don't have a career, maybe this is like school and reaching some sort of pinnacle point in school, and you're deciding your next classes, or you're deciding an internship, or you're deciding your way and what you're going to be doing next. Like what area are you going to be moving towards next? Like, what is your next big move? That could be that if you're a student. And if you are not someone who is employed, then, you know, this is possibly you being able to obtain some sort of work or some sort of job, especially if it's related to something that is going to be altruistic in a way, and something that can provide to others and a community. So like working for like a nonprofit or some sort of charity organization would really fall in line with this. But essentially what we see here is that your career is blossoming. It's doing quite well this month. You have a lot of good things going for you. And it seems to me that you may even have a little bit more freedom to do the things that you like to do within your work environment, because the Queen of Pentacles, one thing she's always going to do is try to take care of herself. Not to say that she's not taking care of others, because she absolutely is, but she wants to make sure that she's in a mentally healthy place, that she's surrounded by people who support her. And to me, it feels like within the month of April that you may be getting that within your career, where you finally feel like you have someone or a bunch of someones who have your back, who are investing in you, who are making sure that you are upskilling, that you are moving towards your goals, that you are branching out, that you are growing, that you're growing as an employee, and you are striving towards success within the environment that you're in. To me, it feels like there is a lot of positivity within the workspace. And as I mentioned, it does feel like a little bit of a transition here. There's a lot more thoughtfulness in terms of the steps that you want to take. I don't want to repeat myself again, but that is really coming up. And quite possibly there may be an expansion of opportunities as well, only because we have Jupiter in Virgo, and that connects to work in a way. And when we have those Pentacles energy, it's like, okay, you're expanding. This can also represent expanding your workload or having more responsibilities on your plate for the month of April. So keep that in mind, that that is an option as well. It's not bad, because you do have a lot of cards showing that you're going to be able to manage that if it is an increase in responsibilities, because 100% Jupiter in Virgo or Jupiter in the 6th house can bring a like heaviness towards the work environment. But because these cards are so positive and very uplifting, to me it's just like heaviness in the terms of like you have more responsibilities, but responsibilities that come with more authorship of your work, okay? Like you are the one making more decisions. Not saying you're making them all, because this is the Queen of Pentacles. And normally when I see queens, they don't have as much powers as kings. That's just how it's represented to me. I'm not trying to be any sort of sexist or anything like that. That's just how the universe has chose to communicate that to me. And based on my experiences as a reader, when I see the queens, they don't have as much power as kings. And so it's like you get to make more decisions, but you don't get to make all of them. Some of them have to go through like approvals, right? But generally it does show a lot of respect is given, that you are able to deal with people in a, and maybe deal is not the right word, because deal sounds like it's, oh, this is a struggle, but I don't really see struggle here. To me, it seems like more collaboration. Definitely more collaboration is happening for you in the work environment, especially with this Jupiter and Virgo type of energy. You will have moments to yourself, for sure. To me, when I get the Queen of Pentacles, it's like I'm left to my devices. Like I'm left to be able to do what I want. I'm able to enact my own initiatives. I'm able to push my own thoughts forward. I'm being respected for my ideas. I have space to myself. I can expand and grow. Versus, you know, if like you had a Queen of Pentacles reversed or something along the lines of that, then that can represent a lot of frustration, a lot of criticism within the work environment, being unsupported, not being able to work in the way that you want to work. But to me, it feels like you actually are getting breathing room to enact your ideas, and they aren't being shut down. Like you're not getting a bunch of pushback. You're not getting people being critical or nasty. Don't get me wrong, maybe there's an odd instance occasionally, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's happening on a frequent level. Most people do seem to be respectful. I will say though, because you're having this rise in success and you're having a lot more responsibilities and you're doing really well in your work, and people are looking at you and saying, wow, this person has got, they're bringing a lot of qualities that we need into the work environment, and you're being like this star employee. It does come with a lot of haters. We have to keep in mind that Virgo is the house of enemies, and the 12th house is the house of secret enemies. And so it just kind of makes it feel like that there may be even some sort of like jealousy when it comes to you and your career and your accomplishments and what you're able to enact at work, or how you are able to move and accomplish things and do things in a collaborative manner and speak to people peacefully and just essentially just do your work. So yeah, that may come with a little bit of jealousy, especially since we have Swati here, which to me, I see a lot of jealousy when it comes to Swati. I see a lot of people who kind of wish that they were in that position. And often you get these Swati people to be represented in media to being like, Nepo babies, or having opportunities to attract wealth. I mean, that's what Rahu placements are about, which Swati is ruled by Rahu. Are connected to Rahu, and it is representing the material world. Rahu is the headless one. It wants to eat and consume what is in front of them, what they can taste, what they can see, what they can smell. They want all different types of experience. And so it's like that hunger for the material, right? And for me, when I see that placement, I know, okay, this person is going to attract a lot of that criticism because they have that sort of Swati like nature within their chart. And so yes, I will say that there's some haters. I don't want to say that this is like all peachy clean and you have no problems in the month of April. Like, I don't want to be that sort of person to have you go out there in the world and believe that. But I do want to let you know that that success can come with some stressors in a way. Like they say, new levels, new devils, right? And with this Swati placement here, Swati is very, very interesting because Swati is a placement that really enjoys themselves. Like they really are ones who like the high life, like stuff that you might see on Instagram and things along the lines of that. Like You know, look at me. I am at the, what's that famous race thing? Is it it's not the Fortune 500, is it? But it's like some sort of famous billionaire racing event. Excuse me. It's like some sort of billionaire racing event, but it's like, look at me, I'm at this cool, amazing event with a bunch of billionaires. Look at me, I am taking visits to the White House. Look at me, I am going to this exclusive event by private helicopter. I am on a private jet. I am shopping at the Louis Vuitton store. Like, it's very extravagant in its experiences. So there may even be some extravagant experiences within the month of April for you, things that you may not normally do. Maybe you're like, oh, I'm eating at this restaurant. The check is $500, $1,000, whatever the case may be. But it represents like experiences that not necessarily everyone can access. What I've also seen about Swati is because they sort of chase the material world, the internal world is a little bit undiscovered. You know, there's a lot that they don't know. How do I explain this? Swati is located at the heart of Libra. And one thing that we know about Libra energy is that it is indecisive. And this is why I say with Swati, because they're so consumed with everything out there in the world that they can physically experience, they tend to have to learn who they are at their core at a later date. It can come later in life. So you may see them be the type of people who will text somebody and go on dates, and then they kind of ghost, but then they come back, right? Like, it's very like indecisive type of energy. Or they might be the type to date like a certain type of person because they see everyone around them validating this type of image and saying, okay, I'm with someone who looks good on paper, and I am going to sort of blend my personality so that I am with this person and everyone will think that we are a good match on paper. But in reality, their soul is not being nourished by this individual. Hold on, guys, my battery is a little bit dying. So when it comes to the month of April, maybe that goes back into that reflective energy in terms of trying to figure out more about yourself, trying to get to learn yourself on a more intrinsic or intuitive level. We do have to think about, you know, that personal growth and deciding, do I want to please and fit in with everyone around me? Or do I actually want to do the things that are interesting to me? And if I do the things that are interesting to me, maybe I don't have as many friends. Maybe people look at me weird. Maybe I am isolated a little bit, and that can happen. Or maybe I'm just in a position where I'm just unhappy. Like, I'm doing the things that everyone says is cool to do, but I don't like it. I don't like being here. I don't want to be here. So that can be a thing, right? It can lead from a place of insecurity. Now, because these cards are very positive and I don't get this feeling of insecurity, I think it's more so leaning into learning more about yourself and understanding your own desires, or what you might even be looking for through a connection, or even understanding yourself through other people. I mean, the first thing we see here with Swati's character, adaptable. And that's what I was going into with saying how they can kind of shape-shift themselves to sort of fit within a relationship. But the reality is they aren't that person. It's kind of like saying somebody comes up to you and says, oh, I love pizza, it's my favorite food. And somebody Swati might be like, I like it too, but I love pizza, that's my favorite food. In reality, that might not be their favorite food. And they never really thought too deeply about it, or they're trying to impress that person, or, you know, whatever the case may be. But it's just very, very much like I experimental type of energy, okay? I just want to throw that out there, all right? And look at all those energies here. They kind of all say the same thing. Adaptable, changeable, fickle, you know, flexible. Like, it's all indecisive. They're all saying the same things. And I don't know how else to reiterate that point with Swati. That's their nature. You know, I've seen Swati be those people who will, like, leave the person that they're dating and then think, why the heck did I leave that person, and come back a month later. So it's very much like that type of energy. Or even in the beginning, they might say, oh, I'm not interested in that person. 2 weeks later, a month later, that person's the love of their life. You know what I mean? Like, it's very interesting energy. So there also is this energy of creativity here when we have Jupiter in Pisces, or sorry, Jupiter in the 12th house, which is like Jupiter in Pisces. And we also have Swati, which is, like I said, the heart of Libra. So there's an element of creativity. You can find a lot of Swati people within artistic fields and expressing themselves in that manner and going towards areas in which they can be creative and flexible and free. We all know those art teachers have like that stereotype of being kind of like this hippie type of character, and Swati can be that way. It can be the person who has all of these different interests, or hard to hold down, or like they don't want to like fully have to commit to something, which is interesting because Libra's known as the house of marriage and commitment, right? And but that is their nature. Things change, things move, things transform, things are different. And another thing that I've noticed about Swati people is kind of like what I was saying with the different interests. If you've ever seen the show Girlfriends, there's a character Lynn, and she's always getting like different degrees, right? And if you look up the actress who plays the character, I believe she has a Swati placement. I don't know if it's her sun or her moon, but it's very Swati with getting the different degree. Every other day she has a new interest. She's very free-flowing. She's very experimental. And I think the longest job she sort of had, right, on the show was being an artist, right? Being like a singer. That was like the most she's shown consistency in her interests. So you may even be expressing yourself creatively this month and exploring in different avenues of what's out there, what can be out there, what's within the realm of possibility, and just getting to know yourself more. Really, really getting to know yourself, being a little bit more curious, okay? And now when it comes to love, this is very interesting, but also very fitting. Swati's nature is very particular about who or what they are looking for within a partner. And because of that, quite often you may see them in various different relationships that seem like this feels random, like it feels like you don't have a type, right? And on other level, it can make somebody have a lot of high standards, which can be very difficult to meet. So you can even see this same energy when somebody has like Rahu in the 7th house, where they may have all of these different standards for their partners, and thus they might spend more time alone because it's going to be hard to meet those standards or find someone like that. And thus, when we have the 4 of Cups, it kind of just says the same thing, where in the area of love, you may feel like the people available to you are not people who you would be interested in. They're not people who you would want to give your time and energy towards, and that you'd rather pull away and spend a little bit more time with yourself. And then on another level, this can represent if you're in a relationship that you two may be spending some more time apart, because the 4 of Cups is more reflective, more isolated, more so like, hey, my partner wants to go hang out and go on this date, but you know, I'd rather stay inside and watch a movie. Like, it's just wanting to spend that time in your head to get things together, right? It's it happens, right? People go through different periods, and it's not always as collaborative as it could be within a relationship. You know, it's very swatty. Things change, things move, things, you have to be flexible. You have to go with the flow. There's a lot of changeability. And so for me, if you're already in a relationship and you might be in a place where you just need a little bit more space this month. You might need a little bit more space. And for those of you who are single, I don't really see you engaging too much with the options around you or the people around you in a romantic way. I tend to not get the Four of Cups to represent that. And if you are going on dates within the month of April, I don't know if it's necessarily love at first sight or anything like that. Like the Four of Cups is really a really disinterested card. It's a card that represents, you know, boredom, being unsatisfied, not feeling excited by what you see in front of you, or even ignoring what's in front of you to a degree. But generally, that is what I've seen. It's more so I want to spend a little bit more time with myself, which is already shown within the dice as well, with that Jupiter in the 12th house and Virgo. This is hermit mode. This is let me think things through. You know, there's a reason that Virgo is connected to the hermit. It's like, I don't want to reach out right now. You know, the phone is off the hook. Not that, I don't know too many people use house phones as much, but you've got your phone on silent. You're just like, I need to be by myself. I need to be in my cocoon. I'm not trying to date around as much. If you're on some sort of dating app, you might be like scrolling every now and then, or checking it like once or twice a week, not for long. It's just like, I'm not really caring to do this. But that is what I have for you, pal number 5. Please let me know if this resonates. If not, you know, feel free to choose a new pal or maybe a new reader. Either way, I'm very happy you stopped by. I am very excited to have you join the live. So if you want to ask me a question, join the live. I'm there every week, though I may be absent one day in March for the lives. It's depending. It's flexible. I'm going to see if I can make it. So we're going to see. And what else do I want to say to you, lovely astronauts? Like, comment, and subscribe. I want to hear what you think. I want to learn all about how April has been for you. Feel free to come back, leave a comment. And that is all I have. Au revoir.